Welcome to the Frugalpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Sarah St. John, and my guest today is an expert in gold and silver. Please welcome Ben Rusk.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on
Can
the
you?
show today.
Well, yeah, thanks for joining me. Can you give us a little bit of your background or history and how you got into this area?
Sure. Well, my professional career was as an IT software developer. And I spent 30 years working in that industry, and I learned a lot of interesting things. Uh, when I retired, I was actually in a club for metal detecting and panning for gold. So I have quite a bit of history in gold and silver, from metal detecting, finding silver coins, and gold panning and digging gold out of the ground. But when I came across this opportunity, it kind of brought all of my skills together. And it just really lightened up my life because I had the background in gold and silver, I had the technology experience, and now I have a business where I can use both of those skills to grow my future while enjoying all of my time by not working for somebody else.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to learn more about gold and silver because I was recently talking to my family about it, or they brought it up. About getting gold and silver, well, gold in particular, but silver too because it's more affordable to purchase. but yeah, I know before we started recording you were telling me a little bit about the importance of diversifying, but then also about how the dollar bill and how, since we're going to more of a digital currency and all of that, and you had mentioned about in 1971. I forget
Well,
exactly what it was. Yeah, if
yep,
you can go into all that, that would be awesome.
very good. So, let me start back in the beginning, where I usually talk to people about training them with financial education. Now, I'm not a financial advisor and I don't give financial advice, but this is my financial philosophy. Back when our parents and grandparents were working, they worked at a job, had an income, and knew that they were going to retire on Social Security. Now, the baby boomers come along and we start hearing rumors that Social Security is not going to be available. So we start taking our money and putting it into a 401k. Well, that's invested in the stock market. And then the stock market started not doing real well. So we went looking for something else. And we came across this thing called cryptocurrency. So I look at stock markets and cryptocurrency as vehicles to grow your wealth. And people seem to be doing pretty well with that these days. But the real question is, when you grow that money, where do you put the profits so that they become secure? So when you start thinking about the profits that go up and down and up and down, you want to buy low, sell high. Well, when you sell, what do you do with it if not put it back into the stock market? Well, that's where gold and silver and real estate come in. When you take the profits out of the vehicle that you're using for growth, whether it be the stock markets or cryptocurrency, you need to have a place to put it, whether it's precious metals or real estate. Those are vehicles that tend to hold their value and grow over time. So that's what we call a wealth storage facility. So that's kind of why I got into this and why I became interested in it, because I was in the process of diversifying my portfolio. And I wanted to know, what are my options? Do I just get into crypto, watch the numbers go up and watch them crash back down, go up, crash down, and hopefully when I need the money, it's up so that I can cash out and use it? Well, that's a game that the faint at heart should not play, because sometimes the highs aren't as high and the lows go deeper than you want them to. So that brings us to what you were saying about 1971. In 1971, the dollar came off of the gold standard. And what that means is the dollar bills that we hold in our pocket, that we hold in the bank, that are sitting in our 401k is no longer tied to the gold standard. So it's only worth what the government says it's worth. And we've got a pretty good example that we use for people. We talk about in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang for $2,500. In 1965, one of these 1-ounce silver eagles was also worth $1. So if you had 2,500 silver eagles or $2,500, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Now let me ask you a question. Do you believe you could walk into the Ford dealer today and hand him $2,500 and drive away in a brand new Ford Mustang? Obviously, the answer is no, right? All right. But do you know if you had 2,500 silver eagles, that you actually could go into the Ford Mustang dealer today and you and your partner's spouse or otherwise could both drive home in a brand new Ford Mustang? Because silver is at a price today where you could afford two off the line Ford Mustangs. So that's how well, silver as a precious metal has held its value against the dollar.
Oh, wow. So, and I think you were saying that a dollar, silver dollar is worth actually $40 now as far as
Right.
the metal.
So an ounce of silver today, spot price is like 28, but spot price is the price it takes to get silver out of the ground. And retail price, if you were to go to a coin dealer, they would sell you a 1-ounce silver eagle in the neighborhood of $38 to $40 today. Even though on the back of the coin, it's printed by the United States Mint, and it says 999 fine silver, and it has a legal tender of $1. So when you look at a silver eagle, you need to know the value of that precious metal. Because while, a 12-year-old kid would take one of these and go in and buy $1 worth of hot chocolate bar, somebody that understands the value of a silver dollar would say, no, I can get 40 chocolate bars for this one coin.
Oh, wow. So you had mentioned, that you could take 2,500 of those coins and, walk out with two, or drive out, whatever, with two
Right?
Ford Mustangs. So do places actually accept that as payment? I mean, obviously they would, as far as it being worth $1 per coin, but do they actually accept it as it's, the value of the metal?
So it's funny you asked that question. I have been running some experiments in my local community, and I have actually offered up these coins in payment for things that I have attempted to purchase. And I think the last thing I tried to purchase was an awning, one of those pop-up 10 by 10s. And I actually held up 2 silver eagles, and I said, would I be able to purchase that with these? And he looked at me and said, yeah, that should cover it. Because he had full intent to pull the money out of his wallet and put these 2 coins in his pocket. And he would pay the bill that I was buying that awning. So when people recognize what it is you actually have in your hand, because they themselves would love to collect the gold and the silver, yes, you can transact with this currency. This is what we call real money. This is not a copper, we call clad. If you have a $50 or a quarter in your hand, you see it's kind of silver on the ends and copper in the middle. That's what we call clad currency. It holds no real value. It's just a symbol of money. Whereas this is actually pure silver. It's not a symbol of money. It's actually, it's actually money. Our dollar bills are just a note that represents a particular value of exchange. This is not a note. This is actual money that represents, the market price of silver today.
So I'm curious, why were we taken off the gold standard back in 71?
Because other countries began to lose faith in the dollar bill. So they began to send their dollar bills to the U.S. government, and the note on that bill at the time said can be redeemed for gold at any time, gold or silver. And the government did not want to relinquish the gold that we had in the repository, so Nixon declared the gold standard obsolete and took us off the gold standard. It was to prevent other countries from making claim to our gold stockpile.
Oh, wow. And so, because it's been taken off the gold standard, is that why there's so much inflation? Is that what kind of...
Absolutely.
Okay.
So think about it. Supply and demand. If supply is limited, demand for that item goes up. So when we had a limited money supply, everybody wanted it because it was the gold standard, right? Well, once we came off the gold standard and we began printing more and more currency, fiat currency, all of a sudden there was so much of it, it looked like confetti and nobody wanted it anymore. So when somebody doesn't want your money, the value goes down. So now we have to spend much more of this currency notes to acquire goods and services because they're not as precious as they once were. So
I guess that's just...
Think about what they're doing right now. They're printing more and more and more money. So what's that doing? It's devaluing the dollar. What's the result of devaluing the dollar? Higher prices. Guess what's on the horizon? We haven't even begun. They tell us in the news every day. We have not even begun to feel the effects of what has happened over the past year. So what can you do today to protect your wealth? Like we were talking earlier, when you begin to diversify your portfolio and make some decisions, one of the things you can do is move your dollars out of the current asset that represents your wealth, which is dollar bills, and then you can move it into precious metals. Your wealth is not, you're not spending money, you're just converting asset classes from dollar bills to gold and silver. You still have the same amount of wealth because you just exchanged one for the other. The question is, in 5 years, what's the dollar bill going to be worth? And in 5 years, what's the silver going to be worth? I just gave you an example of how much of a difference a dollar can make over a few decades. Right?
Yeah, so I guess gold and silver won't ever go down in value, but they could actually go up in value over time.
Well, let's not even think about it as going up in value. Let's just say that they will be recognized far into the future more so than a dollar bill. I mean, gold and silver's been around since, what was it, Genesis 13:2.
Oh.
Okay? And we're still holding and still talking about gold and silver today. That's quite some time to be talking about a particular form of money or wealth.
And then I guess as far as like the coins versus like the blocks or whatever, I guess it's all this. Oh, go ahead.
So this is 1 ounce of silver, and this is 1 ounce of silver. You'll pay $40 for this, and this is tied to spot price. A numismatic collectible coin, you might spend $139 on this, but this is a MS70, which means it's a perfect coin, and it could possibly be part of a set, which means once you acquire the entire set, it could 5x the value of each individual coin, because now a collector would be willing to acquire the completed set from you and pay you for your service of collecting this over time. It may take me 3 years to complete this set, but a collector wants the set today and is willing to pay my cost plus my time to have collected this set for them, which is what leads to the 5x and 10x value of a collectible coin set. Now, there could be other coins that just because of its design or nature, somebody might find that very attractive and offer you 8 times your original value on this because it's something they've never seen before and it has meaning to them and they want to own it. And that's what we've been seeing with our collectible coins. That in the mere 3 to 4 weeks, we've been seeing 300 to 600% return on investment. Now, I don't know any place else that's offering 300 to 600% return on investment, but we buy these coins that are, some of these are $139 a piece, and we're seeing them go for upwards of $600, $700, $800 in a matter of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Because there are a limited supply that were minted, right? And there's more people that want them than coins that are available. So when something is rare or limited supply, demand goes up. If demand goes up, the value goes up. And this is the return we're seeing when our members sell to other members. The public hasn't even seen these coins yet. So this 400 to 800 that I'm talking about could easily be 1,500 to 1,800% markup.
So, but would it be advisable to hang on to them as long as you can?
Well, of course.
And then
That's the whole reason you're investing in gold and silver. You're putting your wealth into a form where it's going to hold its value. And the only time you sell is when you have a life event that requires you to convert whatever form of money you have into something that's more exchangeable. And that's why I'm practicing with people to see who will accept, this as a $40 coin and not a $1 coin. Because when I need to do something in a hurry, can I get an engine fixed for a small stack of silver? Well, if I've got an auto mechanic that's willing to accept it, yeah, I can get an engine fixed or a transmission fixed without having to go through a conversion process. Now, I might have to take this down to a coin shop and sell it to them and then take the cash and then go get the car fixed. Okay, that's a small price to pay, especially if this is worth twice what I paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's likely to be worth even more than that.
So so you would go to a place, a coin exchange place? Is that what you said, as far as if you wanted to exchange it for?
Coin shops and jewelry shops all purchase and sell coins. But there are other places that you can sell online and possibly get a better price. I was just going to say, help people learn.
Sorry, I think there's like a delay or something, and so we end up talking at the same time. So okay, if you weren't interested necessarily in like the collectible coins, but you just wanted, gold and silver coins that aren't necessarily collectibles, where would you go to buy that?
So that's one of the major reasons why people don't get into gold and silver, because they don't know, number one, what to buy, where to buy it, who to trust, where to store it, and how to sell it. So that's another part of the educational process that I help people understand. We have a reputable source that sells only high quality products. They have an enormous inventory, so you can buy as much or as little as you want for the same price. Some bullion distributors will make you buy 100 coins to get the best price. Well, maybe I can't afford 100 of them at $40 a piece, but maybe I can afford 10 of them or maybe one of them. So we help people understand that we can get you dealer direct pricing so that you can buy one or 100, whatever you prefer. And we also can store it in a vault so that if you are not sure of your ability to secure your gold and silver, we can store it for you until you're ready to have it mailed to you. So that's the difference between buying what's called an ETF, an exchange traded fund that's in gold and silver, because that's just paper. That's the process of somebody taking one of these and selling it over and over and over and over again to 1,000 people. Well, who actually owns this if it's sold to 1,000 people? You want to make sure that you can get possession of your silver and your gold. So if I tell them, mail it to me today, it's in the mail and it's on my doorstep tomorrow. But maybe I don't want it in my house, so I say, keep it in the vault. It's in my personal vault, assigned to me. They're just storing it for me.
So what is that the 206gold.com? Is that the
No, we talked about the other one.
Oh, the other one.
So we talked about the Cachetimebomb.
Mm-hmm.
So again, here's the domain, cachetimebomb.com, and your users can go there and they can sign up for an account. And there's also some videos there that will explain more of what's going on in the world of banking and what you need to do to secure your portfolio. We also talked about, what if you wanted to save over time? What if you couldn't afford it? So we also have what's called fractional investing. So you can literally put $20 a week away into your account. And when you have enough cash in the account to buy 1 ounce, then you can say, okay, give me the 1 ounce of silver and ship it to me. So you can do it like a savings account, right? You can do fractional investing in gold or silver, and you can buy it at your pace and your speed and have it shipped to you when you've acquired enough to have the entire ounce shipped to your residence.
Okay. And so silver coin is about $40 worth. How much would a gold coin be worth?
I checked spot price today. I think spot price was at 1,700, and I think the retail price on that was about 2,000 or 2,100, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And then, so I guess the advantage of doing like gold and silver coins over like a block of gold and silver is just the fact that it'd be much more affordable, and you can do it in increments because a block, I don't know, is that 5 pounds, 1 pound, I don't know, but that would be a lot more.
It's 100 ounces is a bar of silver, and that goes for, I think that was 2,900 today for a 100-ounce bar of silver. But here's the real reason why you don't want to buy a bar, unless, again, think of your wealth in a pile. Right now, you think of your wealth in a pile of dollar bills, and you've got ones, fives, tens, 20s, hundreds. Okay, it's a pile. Well, you don't grab the $100 bill when you're going to the store to buy a loaf of bread, right? You grab a 20. So think about gold and silver the same way. You're not going to grab a 100-ounce bar of silver when you're going to the store to buy a loaf of bread. Right? You're going to need something in the 1-ounce range for 40, so you can negotiate goods and services for this $40 you're going to be turning over, right? Or you can buy grams. Grams are a smaller unit of, so there's 31 grams in an ounce. It's like 31.5. So, it's 31, 32 grams per an ounce. And, the gram price on that's like $2.86. So, you need to decide, okay, I want to have fractional amounts so that I can negotiate, because somebody's not going to say, where's the scissors here? We're going to cut this in half today for $20, right? You're going to have to give up the whole coin. So you better get the goods and services that it's worth, or you're paying more than you should. That's $35 today. It's like, okay, here's one silver. I mean, think about the old days in the cowboys and Indians, right? You rolled into town on your horse, and you'd throw a coin on the bar, and the guy would pour you 3 beers, because that's the currency at the time, and that's what it was worth.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that because it's more incremental, and like you said, you can't really break apart a gold bar, and yeah, that makes sense. Earlier you had kind of mentioned about, I guess, the future of the banking system and all of that stuff. I'm curious to get your input on, the future of both the banking system as well as currency, and then even if you have any input on cryptocurrency, and how maybe gold and silver is better than that, because it seems like cryptocurrency is all the rage right now, and all of that.
Okay, so like we mentioned earlier, back in 1971, we came off the gold standard. That turned the US dollar from a gold-backed currency into a fiat currency. Fiat just means it's only worth what the government says it's worth. So let's fast forward. This is year 2021. Throughout the history of the world, there has never been a fiat currency that's lasted more than 50 years. Well, 2021 marks 50 years since the US dollar came off the gold standard. So if history holds true, what does that mean for the future of the dollar bill? And if we do move into what the government is working on as a digital dollar, what does that mean for the average citizen that has a pile of bills in a mattress, buried in a box in the backyard, or sitting in a 401k account? When we go to convert that, is it going to be 1 for 1? Might it be $5 for 1 digital dollar? That's what exchange rates are all about. And be leery of that, because an exchange rate means in an instant, what you thought you had in your bank account becomes reduced by whatever they decide the exchange rate to be. So you could go from being well off to half broke overnight. But if you're holding a precious metal, the government can't come in and say, number 1, give it to me. Number 2, I'm going to take it from you. Or number 3, it's no longer worth what it was worth yesterday. Because precious metals are a world currency. They do not belong to a country. So the world has to agree that this is worth a certain price. And let them argue about what that price is. But there's not too many other stores of value that you can put your money in that can hold its value over time the way gold and silver have. And I was going to make another point and it slipped my mind. Oh, cryptocurrency. We talked earlier about cryptocurrencies. Prices inflate. We saw Bitcoin go from you know seven, what was it, 16,000. It dropped down to 7,000. It bounced back up to 19,000. It came back again, and then it soared to 40. Today it's at 28, 30, 31, whatever it is today. It's like, wow, if we'd have just at 40, if we'd have sold the Bitcoin and took those profits and moved it into gold and silver, we'd still be sitting on that $40,000 of Bitcoin. But no, we held on to our Bitcoin and we watched it drop and drop and drop and drop, and now we're sitting on 29,000. So what happened to all that profit? Well, it evaporated because we didn't exchange that asset for something else where it could hold its value. The price of silver and gold has not dropped that much since Bitcoin hit 40 and dropped to 30. Right?
Yeah.
So having the ability to move a cryptocurrency directly into gold and silver is one of the services that we provide.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So you literally can exchange your crypto for gold and silver.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So do you recommend, and I know you said you're not a financial advisor and all this stuff, but just for your own, I guess, personal opinion, do you recommend having a portfolio that consists of obviously the gold and silver, but also some crypto and some, I don't know what other things there are at this point.
Right.
Well, I guess 401k.
Well, here's what I'll say. I believe in a diversified portfolio. I believe that you should educate yourself on what those different categories could be. I'm aware of 5 categories. You need to have some cash readily available. You need to have investments in stocks because it's a vehicle for growth. You need to have investments in crypto because it's a vehicle for growth. You need precious metals because it's a vehicle to store your money. And you need real estate because it's another vehicle to store your money. Now, the 6th category is questionable, but it's collectibles, it's art, it's jewelry, things that can have intrinsic value without being while still being a commodity. It's like if you happen to be so fortunate as to have a Mona Lisa in your art collection, you would be a pretty happy person. But it's just a painting. It's somebody places value on that painting that makes it worth millions of dollars, right? So, art is just another store of value that is in the eye of the beholder. It might be worth one thing to somebody and worth something to somebody else. I mean, who'd have thought that baseball cards would have evaporated in value the way they did? But collectors that spent their entire life collecting baseball cards now can't get $10 for a Xerox box full of baseball cards. It's just cardboard. Yeah, the market, I mean, there's still the rare ones, but the general market for collecting baseball cards evaporated. And now who would have thought that Pokemon cards are the new rage? When you got cards that the kids played with that are now going for $16,000, it's ridiculous. It's just a piece of cardboard. It's just somebody's placing some value on it. So yes, you need to educate yourself on what it means to diversify a portfolio. And then you need to just slowly begin to, make sure that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. And I don't look at that as financial advice. I think that's just common sense. I think that the problem is the school system did not educate us on how to manage our money. And now as adults, we're having to learn how to do that on our own. Fortunately, there are companies and there are people and services around that make that a little easier but it's by no means in the forefront. If you don't know somebody, you're pretty much clueless on which way to go to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah. Wow. I know I've learned a lot just in this short period of time. I'm definitely going to check out that website and learn more. I'm going to probably send it on to my family as well, because I know this is an area that they're interested in learning more about. And so that website again is cachetimebomb.com.
Correct. And let me just tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get to a landing page. Please enter your name, your email address. Go ahead and leave your phone number so that I can get a hold of you and we can just have a short chat about what your interests are and what would be a good way for you to accomplish your goals. Again, I'm not here to sell anything. I want to educate people so that they make it through this coming change in our world that we really don't even see coming, this new digital currency and how it's going to affect the rest of our life. I want to see people make it through this without being slaughtered at the bank. So I want you to get the most out of what the program has to offer. After you put your email in, you're going to see a video that's going to really hit the highlights of what we've been talking about here today. And then you're simply going to make a decision. Do I want to collect and save gold and silver for myself? Or do you want to take it the next step and help other people do the same? So that's what you're going to see on the website, cachetimebomb.com. And feel free to reach out to me. You can set an appointment or give me a phone call. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And the more people that we can help, the better.
Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today. And I'll also have show notes with the link to that at thesarahstjohn.com/gold and silver. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me on the show.